Joining us now, former Trump National Security Council Chief of Staff and Executive Secretary Fred Fleitz and former Lieutenant Colonel in Black Hawk helicopter in the Army, pilot Darin Gaub. Gentlemen, good to see you both.
Good to be here.
Fred, take it away here. Your thoughts on our delegation saying a lot of progress is being made, and they're denying the fact that Ukraine will not be included. They say they will eventually, but this first round seems promising.
Well, we heard all this complaining by European states and by Ukrainian President Zelenskyy today that they had been excluded. This is just such nonsense. Europe and Zelenskyy had a whole week of meeting with U.S. officials in Munich over the last week. And the problem here is that the U.S. has had almost no meetings with Russia for almost 4 years. This is actually reestablishing a very crucial line of communication with the nation with the largest nuclear arsenal on Earth. And there was nothing wrong with this meeting. And I think that European leaders should be applauding the fact that this avenue of communication has been reestablished rather than complaining that they haven't been included. I think there are obviously obstacles along the way. There are real concerns that the Russians have. I don't think all of them are legitimate. I think there will be peacekeepers sent to monitor a possible peace agreement. They won't be under the auspices of NATO, but we're a long way from that. But I would say this was a big victory for President Trump, and I think it's time for Europe and for Ukraine to get behind what Trump is doing.
Colonel Gaub, continuing the line of thought that Fred just shared about the fact that there is no need for President Zelenskyy to be complaining because he already had his time. Do you think it's a bad idea for him not to go to Saudi Arabia as planned?
Well, I think right now the best idea is the fact that he's not there. And the reason why I say that is because America and Russia need to get together and figure out what the playing field looks like before you broaden this out to physically bringing people into Saudi Arabia to have meetings. You have to know whether the meeting is worth having in the first place and establish the parameters of how things are going to work between just between Russia and the United States. My advice to Zelenskyy right now would be to kind of to slow back on some of the rhetoric. Make this less emotional, not personally attacking people so much, despite how much you may want to, and just stick to the idea of how can we get this problem solved, given the military and so many other realities on the ground between the two nations. But you have to wait to bring him in until it's worth bringing him in and making sure that that time and expense is productive rather than just bringing him in and having everything fall apart because we haven't laid the groundwork first.
Yeah, Fred, what do you think? Zelensky's rhetoric.
I think it's unfortunate because Rubio was really clear. This is a preliminary meeting to start negotiations to reestablish U.S.-Russian relations. And he said the Ukrainians and Europeans will be invited in when the real negotiations begin. This is basically an opening bid to see what can be done to reestablish a relationship that was destroyed by Joe Biden. All he did was demonize Putin. He likened Putin to Hamas. He called Putin a war criminal. He made it impossible for the U.S. president to speak to the president of Russia, which I think was very dangerous. Donald Trump does not believe in that. He wants to speak to the leaders of all nations, friend and foe. And I think Zelenskyy could realize that he was not excluded. Zelenskyy has had so much face time with Trump and with U.S. officials. He was not slighted here.
We have about 30 seconds left, Colonel, but your thoughts also on, we have to remember that this is Vladimir Putin. He has done horrible things. He invaded Ukraine. He's kidnapped Ukrainian children, put them with Russian families. I mean, he has done awful things. Do you think he should be maybe handled differently than we're handling him now?
Well, right now, I think we need to handle him the way that it's happening. And I think that's the right thing to do, regardless of everything that we know that Putin has done. We have to sit across the table and get it started to see if we can actually get to some sort of a point where we can stop the killing in Ukraine and Russia. That's the primary objective. Both sides have done some terrible things, but that's what happens in war. It's an unfortunate reality. But if we stick with that, then it's a war that will never end. And we need to do everything we can to get it ended.
And it sounds like it is well underway. We appreciate it. Colonel Darin Gaub, Fred Fleitz, always great getting your insight. Thank you.